Hello and welcome to another video from the only channel that you need to not only survive the current apocalypse but actually enjoy it. And today's video is going to be the next part in our series about the calendar called Written in Stone. Today we're going to start talking about the plains of Dura. We're not going to be able to cover everything because the incident at the plains of Dura is all about the calendar. It's all about destroying Satan's worship system and teaching the nation, or us as a people actually, a lesson. So anyway, the entire account is about Nebuchadnezzar going into Israel, conquering it, and bringing back the people as well as their God. You see, not the God they were supposed to be worshiping, but their true God. And he brings them out onto the plains of Dura. Now, the reason this is such a big event is because in the entire history of the earth, for 3,000 years, kings had been trying to conquer the Promised Land with no success. In fact, the Promised Land is often called the decoration of kings because it's the thing that every king wants to put on his mantle. So, having done this, Nebuchadnezzar is extremely proud of himself, and he wants to force the Israelites to worship his God, but using their God. So he goes out into the plains of Dura, and he starts to stack the Israelites' God into a pile. Now, the God I'm talking about is gold, a lot of gold, bricks of gold. And where did this gold come from? I guess that's a question we have to answer to make this story make any sense. But the Bible tells us that Solomon, who was the king and who the Song of Solomon was about, is demanding every year that 666 talents of gold be paid to him. And the key phrase here is every year. So every year of his reign they bring him 666 talents of gold, and that's the gold that Nebuchadnezzar is having stacked up out on what we call the plains of Dura. So he takes this gold, they stack up the first year's worth, 666. And look, I need to tell you right now, whenever I make a video, I always say I'm going to tell you something that human ears have not heard in 2,000 years, and that is the case today. You are about to have what is known as an aha moment, if you have a free mind, a clear mind. And if you're still going to church, this is going to make you feel kind of bad, probably. I can't overemphasize how you have got to get doctrines out of your head if you want to have room to put truth in. And so you may not understand this, you may not like this, but in any case, they bring out the first year's worth, 666 talents of gold, and yes, this 666 is related to our day. They bring the next trailer load out there, 666 talents. Next trailer, 666. Next trailer, 666. 666. What does that mean? How does that relate to the calendar? Now, in our previous video, I told you that God changed the times and seasons, or the years and months. So he altered the speed of the earth and the moon so that the year would go from 360 days to 365 days. Because of that, nothing in the calendar ever worked again. But in that Song of Solomon, it ends with the expression that this moon goddess is going around this calendar. The sun god is going to meet her, and the moon god's human brother says, "You cannot do this to our sister." That's part of the last bit of this poem. "We are going to put up a wall. You are not going to get over that wall to touch our sister." It's all talking about the calendar. If you haven't seen part 1 and part 2 of this, or any of the previous videos, or even the ones that are coming, you got to watch them all. But it makes it seem like God didn't change the calendar, that people changed the calendar. So who's telling the truth? Am I telling the truth? People? What is the true story here? Well, along with this calendar, this universal calendar that Jehovah monitors, that he maintains, there was another calendar written on paper that he gave to his people. And those people were not allowed to stay in his land unless they stuck to the agreement. It's called the covenant. That's where we get the Ark of the Covenant. It's a written legal agreement. And in that written legal agreement, it said that every 6 days you were allowed to work if you wanted. but on the seventh day you absolutely had to rest. Something that most people don't understand, that is every bit as important as the 7-day Sabbath, is the 7-year Sabbath. Because the nation of Israel was commanded to rest every 7th year. See, a person could work 6 days and take a day off and feel like he provided for himself because he put away enough in the 6 days he worked to get him through the 7th day. But with a year, it's a little bit different. And it actually specified that you were not to do any work. You couldn't plant, you couldn't do anything. All you could do is get food that Jehovah provided for you over the course of the year. So that 7-year Sabbath was a constant reminder that Jehovah would provide for these people whether they worked or not. In the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve were told to rest for all eternity. The Sabbath that he gave to the Israelites was simply, a halfway thing. You refuse to quit working, so I'll let you in my land, but you at least have to quit working 1 day a week, and you have to at least quit working 1 day a year. Remember what we said about Solomon. He demanded these taxes be paid every year. So were they obeying the 7-year Sabbath? No way. There's no way in the world they could accumulate 666 talents of gold to give to the king without doing something. So what Solomon had done, what the Jewish people had done, is they had changed the calendar from a 7-day calendar to a 6-day calendar. That day they didn't have to worry about obeying the Sabbath. And I'm just going to tell you, it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Monday, Tuesday, and I know that Sunday's not the Sabbath, and Saturday's not the Sabbath, and Friday's not the Sabbath, and everybody wants to fight about that. But the reality is, 6 days a week they worked, and they started their week over. They didn't obey the Sabbath. So that's how the Jewish people and we have not obeyed the Sabbath. I mean, as human family, we have not obeyed God's command to rest forever. When he gave us an opportunity to just rest 1 day a week, to rest 1 year of every 7 years, we didn't obey that. And so if we were not going to obey his Sabbaths, and we were going to change the paper calendar that he gave us, he was going to change the real calendar. And that's exactly what he did. If you don't want to survive, don't listen to me.